welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to an anime story podcast. I'm the Big Bad Moon. Right over here on the right is Hal in 3D, and just below me is Bad Strategy. We are your hosts for the podcast for tonight. Hey, Helen, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing really good, thank you. I'm enjoying watching
host,
anime and dancing and keeping up on Crunchyroll.
Crunchyroll.
I'm enjoying watching anime and dancing.
How about you, Bad?
I am as good as ever, as can be expected.
As is my SOP.
My level of goodness is what you might call nominal.
That's fair. I am also good. So yeah, we were delayed. We were not on last weekend. We were experiencing sick human beings, which occasionally happens this time of year. But that's okay, because here we are, and we're going to talk about Paprika.
Paprika.
What a catchy name.
It's a good name. It's a solid name.
Directed and written, I think, by Satoshi Kon, who very sadly passed away several years back. Please feel free to banter amongst yourselves.
You may be aware of the movie Perfect Blue if you were aware of the movie Paprika. Or you may not be aware of the movie Paprika and be aware of the movie Perfect Blue.
That's gonna
regardless of your level of awareness. Perfect Blue came before Paprika by a few years. Similar concepts. Paprika, kind of the same things.
Yeah.
It's a different movie, different plot, right? But it's kind of similar concepts.
I would say that it is the same movie with different plots. It's not the same movie. It's very.
I accept that.
It's doing all of the same things, or it's trying to do all the same things. They're very experimental. It's a very fascinating film.
Paprika,
Yeah.
my opinion, much better executed. Also higher production quality, right? Like they do these super detailed environments in both movies, but they do a lot more of them in Paprika, and they're more impressive in Paprika. Like there's
execution.
The parade scene, so much detail, all these dolls and things, all the rooms in the real world, like so much detail. It looks gorgeous.
Okay,
really is.
Before we get into that,
Perfect Blue was freaky though.
That is true.
Blue.
There are moments, there are things about Perfect Blue I really enjoyed. But
it has a few things Paprika doesn't have that are like
it's true.
Real
it's
good.
Totally slightly different. So, Helen, Paprika, what are your thoughts?
I watched it back at the Esquire in 2007 or 2008 as a midnight movie.
And I hope you watched it recently.
I was like, what is going on?
That is a fair response.
And like, I liked it, but there was just so much. I'm like, did they ever come out of a dream? Like, am I crazy? Like, what? And then the second time I watched it, then I was like, okay, I kind of understand what's happening here. And then I've watched it several times after, and now I get it. But like, I think it takes a few times of watching it to really kind of grasp the entire dimension of it all.
Yeah, no, it definitely pushes a few boundaries. Go ahead, Beth.
So I mean, something funny in Paprika is that the story makes a lot of the sense that is made is like intuitive sense. Is like it doesn't make logical sense if you take it out and you're like, oh, okay, they do this and then this happens and then this happens, but it makes a sort of intuitive sense. It's like, oh yeah, of course these things run together.
Yeah, no, exactly. I think and it's a delightful like a dream logic. Like, you know, the where, let me see, the main character, or is it the main character, Paprika? She's flying through the air, and then she falls in the water, and there's the big bubble underwater splash, and then she starts swimming, and she's a mermaid. And it just
Yeah.
kind of makes it's just like, yeah, well, yeah, of course she's a mermaid now that she's
Oh.
in the water. That just like is a thing that makes sense. That's a thing that would happen in a dream. Like, yeah, I was in the water and I was a
I've
mermaid.
had that dream.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I mean, me too.
I think that was the cool thing about it was that there's so many different levels of relatability in dreams. So you're like, wait, I've had that dream where I'm stuck in the mud or whatever it is, like
Right.
where the hallway. It's a very simple but very relatable image.
Okay. Yeah. So okay. So let's break it. Let's break it down for a minute.
Break it down.
So Paprika. Paprika's it's a movie. It's a film about a group of a small group of people who are scientists who have created a machine that makes it so you can record and enter other people's dreams. Like you can. Is that kind of right?
Yeah,
for the most part?
yeah, I
Yeah.
think
You can you can record dreams and you
like
can enter other people's dreams.
psychotherapy so that
Right.
they can like help build synapses, like new synapses, I guess.
Yeah, and so they're using it, as a as a means of performing psychotherapy on people.
let me also say, Paprika, the most on point example of like nonsense technobabble
Mhm.
when the writers don't want to explain something.
Yeah, they do have there's some
Like,
good nonsense techno babble.
Well
in there.
above most.
I do.
Like,
And there. I think there's a couple scenes where that happens, and I think they're very. It's obvious they're very aware of what they're doing. They're just like, I'm gonna give you an explanation, but it's not gonna mean anything, and it's just here to.
that was
almost sound
also
good.
that was also like a beautiful transition they had when the one character, the short old man, starts going on his speech and he starts making less and less sense as he goes till he's just talking nonsense and you're like
I love that.
wait a minute, what's he saying here?
That was so
Wait, that
good.
doesn't make sense. You
That
start
was
like
well
questioning
done.
yourself and you're
Yeah.
thinking about it and you're trying to be like, wait, this doesn't make any sense.
That was
He's just
okay.
babbling.
That was such a great moment because this is a moment me and Bed watched this together, and we were watching it, and he starts talking and he's talking about Paprika and doing this and da-da-da, and it's making sense and it's irrelevant to the plot, and then he starts saying he said like a couple things that kind of didn't make sense, and then he said some other thing and I stopped and I hit the pause button and I said Noah, he's like suddenly he just
What?
like isn't saying anything, like he's not making any sense, he's like babbling incoherently. And then we played it again, and that's of course when his mind is like he's gone mad or what have you. And but it was
Yeah,
like,
He's in the
but
parade.
it flowed so well. Like you're listening to him, and as you're listening to him, suddenly he stops making like it starts getting foggier, and then it like gets worse, and you're like, wait, I suddenly can't understand what he's saying. Like if you're only half listening, you'd totally miss it. But
yeah,
that was good.
Until he, jumps out of
And then he jumps out of the window. That's probably a pretty big hint. But that was just super good. I enjoyed that moment a lot.
I liked the hesitation when they're exploring the room that the guy who stole the machine supposedly, and she jumps over the bars and she's actually almost gonna fall off the ledge.
Mm-hmm.
And then her hesitation when she's actually literally there and she like grabs the edge and is like, all right, I'm gonna do this again.
Yeah.
also
But this time she lands because there's nothing, it's not a dream this time. So.
Paprika as a movie, they excel at all the transitions, transitions in the movie. The like transitions from like awake to dream, from like character being like in the intro. The intro is beautiful with the like she's like on the wall and then she steps off and she like goes into a television or something. It's like every
My
transition in
question-
Paprika looks so good.
My question is, who are the bartenders?
So you're making an assertion that the bartenders are in fact important in some capacity.
I mean, they're throughout the whole thing, even at the end.
Sure.
Like, they're very much like, I don't know, like, it just felt like
The
they're the
bartenders
ones who kept it solid and based in reality, even though they're not real.
Yeah, I mean the bartenders is specifically tied
The
to
detective guy.
that one character, the detective, right?
Yeah,
Right.
and it makes
So
sense.
they're
It
like,
makes sense for his character.
hmm
You know, being a detective, the idea that he sits at the bar and shoots the shit with the bartenders, um, and that's part of that's his dream.
yeah, that's part of his like his own unconscious thing going on there.
Yeah, interesting. There could be a whole lot of There's a whole lot of room within the narrative to speculate on stuff like
Oh
that.
my god. One of the bartenders is actually voiced by Khan, the creator.
Oh, really? That's awesome.
That's
That's
awesome.
super
It's
cool. I
like
would dig it,
a Stan Lee kind of move.
except much more
That's
tasteful.
awesome. That's funny. I didn't know that.
Also,
Anyway.
Paprika as a movie, um, the messaging is pretty clear and pretty like nicely done, which it might not be something you'd expect if you watched Perfect Blue, where the
Right.
messaging is a little bit like confused, maybe.
Yeah. No, definitely. Perfect Blue is a little more negative.
Yeah,
Just like a
you
tiny
walk
bit.
out of it a little bit like you
Hmm.
walk out of Perfect Blue a little bit like it was kind of suggesting this, but then the bad guy was that, so maybe like the messages conflict, or maybe they were
So
meant to conflict, or
So this is okay. So just so we can make this, comparison, because I think it's very, very apt, and I think it's very interesting. Yeah, Paprika is about this group of scientists, and they've created this machine so you can record dreams and you can go into other people's dreams, and somebody is using it to get inside other people's heads to drive them crazy, um, because they're a bad guy, basically, or seemingly. Perfect
Or
Blue
have
is
power.
yeah, or for power, for whatever reason. So they're doing that.
Right.
Perfect Blue is about a person who is a pop star, and she is trying to transition from being a pop star into being an actor. Um,
at
and
face value they don't sound similar.
at face value, they're like, nope, those are totally different movies. But the shtick in Perfect Blue is that throughout the story, spoilers for Perfect Blue. If you've never seen Perfect Blue, if you plan to see it, you can plug your ears for just a second. But basically, throughout Perfect Blue, you begin to wonder whether or not this character is actually a pop star, because there's a murder mystery that's starting to unfold, and you're not sure whether or not this character is actually a pop star, or if she is somebody who has a fantasy about being a pop star, who like thinks she's a pop star, but she's actually some other person who I don't remember. She who's an actor who killed people. And the story, the movie. So the pop star is trying to star. She's starring in this film about these detectives that are going after a murderer, who's murdered all these people, and then you're now not sure later on in the movie whether or not she is in fact a murderer who thinks she's a pop star who is starring in this movie about these detectives that are basically hunting for her. It's very weird. It has a lot of
Yeah,
dreamy stuff in it.
it's
You're not
it's
sure
got the
what reality
same,
is.
yeah, that same element of you're not sure what's real and what's not. They also have good transitions, but
Yeah.
not as many in Perfect Blue. Like
Mm-hmm.
they will cut into a scene that is the protagonist acting without making it clear that
Right.
she's acting.
Yeah.
And then the camera will zoom out and you will see it she's on set and she's
Mm-hmm.
being an actor and doing that.
And then
And
the actors that play the detectives in the TV show are also the characters who are the actual detectives in real life who are trying to figure out the murder.
no, they're not.
Are they? Yeah, they are.
No, they're not.
You see, I don't know. I don't remember. It's really confusing.
Anyways, much slower paced movie, but it's I feel bad for you, Alan, because I'm like I want to make the comparison, but it's like I should. You didn't watch Perfect Blue recently, right?
Not recently, no.
Yeah, it's
I
an interesting.
remember, but I don't remember.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you
It's
know.
and it's hard with a movie like Paprika or Perfect Blue to like remember back to it after any period of time. Like just this extra week added to Paprika, I'm like, wait, what
Yeah, no,
happened?
right,
There
definitely.
was something.
Dream Girl.
I don't know. I thought there were so many good elements. The music
Mm-hmm.
really added to it.
Yeah, on
The
point music.
the precision, the melting. I loved the bad guy when he like really transforms into this nightmare.
Mhm.
It reminded me of Princess Mononoke. Like it was like that
Right.
spirit
Yeah, that
of
makes sense.
darkness or of like nightmares that just grew. And like I loved that like it almost seemed traditionally like I don't know, like how you would think of like the tradition. I just loved it. I don't
Yeah.
know.
No, totally.
Paprika
That was great.
Paprika's a movie I would recommend to people just on how visually impressive it is,
That is,
because
yeah, it is
it
visually
looks
very, yeah.
gorgeous, and like
They do have like you were saying, a huge amount of detail in the movie. The backgrounds
stunning.
incredibly detailed, just very full. Not in a weird like not in like an overcrowded way, but incredibly detailed,
And
wonderful
yeah, and
artwork.
that
Hmm.
yeah, that can happen. I mean, a lot of especially uncolored artwork that's super high detail is just
Hmm.
a mess.
Yeah.
It's just unreadable. But Paprika just looks gorgeous throughout. They have those hyper detailed environments that in any other anime, the person would be like, I'm gonna put doors on the closet so that we don't have to draw anything in there."
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, exactly. But great artwork, great character design too. Which I thought the character design was great, made for the main character,
I agree.
and her
Mhm.
alternate self, Paprika.
I
The
liked the main character and her partner who ends up selling his body. Like that was so good.
I need
the
to look up a character list.
the fat guy.
Huh? No, the skinny guy who got has the orange hair.
I need to
Does
look
he
up a
know what
character
I'm
list.
talking about?
I need to look up a character list. I was looking for one. There.
So the one who has her pinned like a butterfly to the table.
Right. Oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah.
is that her
Yes,
partner?
he
I
is. He
thought that
works
was
Yeah.
with
like just
her.
some fucking guy.
Mm-mm.
No, he works with her, and there's like a kind of mutual respect relationship they kind of have.
Well, he's
Kind of.
obsessed. He's like stalker weird.
I, s-
Just
I
saying.
opened I open up the character list and I start looking through because it doesn't have pictures. It's like character depraved bisexual,
Huh?
depraved homosexual, like
He's
all
the
the
one who saves her when she falls off the balcony.
absent-minded professor.
Mm-hmm. So freaking dark.
Need a I need a character list to jog my memory.
Yeah, no, seriously.
I know who you're talking about. I remember the character. What is the messaging in Paprika? I'm going to ask rather than talking because that's easier.
Mhm.
I feel like the message is that um going down the route of technology can be a slippery slope.
Okay,
And
so the message I was picking up that I was thinking was the primary message they were trying to get across was about what was it? It was so it's Paprika and her alternate it's Paprika is the alternate persona
Mhm.
of the character Atsuko Chiba.
Mhm.
I'm gonna use character names now, and no one's gonna be able to
No one's
follow.
gonna know what's going on. I got a character list pulled up. I get you.
So I found one with pictures of the characters, so I can actually understand. But anyways,
I, I
the,
do.
the messaging as I see it is it's the most important element is Chiba's alternate persona, Paprika,
Mm-hmm.
and the message is something about like she doesn't accept the part of herself that is Paprika
The
because
playful.
she views that part of herself as being childish, and so
Mm-hmm.
she's like, I can't be that. That's not a part of me. And
Right.
and she's rejecting the part of herself that everyone else most appreciates.
That reminded me. Okay, keep going. No, keep going. I can't
And
remember.
Do it. Go.
and so
Well,
and so it's a, I think the primary message is about something about self-acceptance, something about um
Yeah.
not being ashamed of your childish element, because the bad guy Seijiro Inui is he's like this hyper conservative like exaggeration of the protagonist Chiba by being he, he's like the extreme of if she continued to deny the Paprika portion of herself and pushed as far as she could away from that.
Yeah, no, interesting. I definitely would think I would agree. There's a definite thing about being true to yourself. Helen, you're bouncing up and down.
I know. No, I noticed like there's like this huge juxtaposition. So you know how like in animes or anything like there's like this medium
No,
level.
I don't watch
We
anime.
talked about this with you know what with Demon Slayer how they have like these over the top characters. I felt like Paprika did such a good job, like with the small and the big. So we see the differences so beautifully. Go.
Takeda, the
Uh-huh.
large obese character. From the moment he appeared, I was like, I like this character. This character is great because he is visually great because
Yeah.
the artist has to literally posture him differently. His size is so large, he has to be in a different position to fit into the scene. Like, he doesn't fit in the booth properly, he doesn't fit in the car, he's like hunched over in the elevator, he has to move through doors carefully. It makes the scene so much more interesting to have a character who's so large that they have to interact differently with the environment than the other characters. And
And
it's
it's so specific. It's so like he's big, so let's make him big. And if it was small, let's make her very staunch. Let's make her very rigid.
it
You
is
know?
it is
I thought those
so
were beautiful.
Yeah, it's so much more impressive for an artist to do something like that because it just
Yeah.
yeah.
No, totally.
Heck yeah.
Especially in a media that a piece of media that usually suffers from characters that if you took the hair away, you would not be able to distinguish them.
Right, yeah.
So totally great character design from Shima, the scientist, Dakota, Toshomi, the detective. Yeah, they all have really great design. And the bad guy Inu.
Inu, yeah.
Yeah, they all. You could probably stand them all up in a silhouette lineup and figure out who's who, as long as you know who the names are. But yeah,
I think
totally.
the imagery is so beautiful too. Like the still images, like of her as a butterfly pinned to this table, or like the movie screen being blank. Like
I definitely think one of the scene where that happens, the big chase scene where Paprika is running away from the thing that's trying to capture her. That is probably one of my favorite, artistically, one of my favorite scenes in the movie. Just because she jumps into the painting and she then goes into the ocean and he's a mermaid and the giant fish man, and all that. That was delightful.
I mean, this Paprika's an anime I would recommend. I think I would recommend it very, very widely, even if you're comfortable with anime. Because even if people feel a little uncomfortable with anime, and that even if they feel a bit uncomfortable with Paprika, it's gonna be hard not to appreciate how masterfully Paprika is visually.
Okay, I think I generally agree with that, but I don't think I would recommend it to a wide group of people.
I would.
I think I see where you're coming
Also,
from.
I apologize for sniffling so much. I am also sick.
No, I'm sorry.
That's okay. How dare you?
I didn't touch you.
No, yeah. So it's, I think if the person, okay, so recommendations. I think if the person you're talking about is open to animation, is open to kind of interesting movies, more artistic stuff. Totally, 100%. Even if they don't watch anime, if they like experimental film at all, if they like independent film at all, if they like animation, totally. I would not, if I'm talking about somebody who like likes really grounded film, likes really grounded stories, and who's
I
not
would
into
agree with
animation, totally wouldn't recommend it. Definitely not. Probably even not a first anime. If I were gonna recommend
Depending
Paprika,
on the person.
I think depending on the person,
person.
I think if I were going to recommend Paprika as a first anime to somebody, before that I'd probably recommend a Miyazaki film. And then maybe
Princess
I'd do
Mononoke.
Princess Mononoke generally speaking, something like Spirited Away.
I think Spirited Away is probably the strongest Mononoke recommendation,
especially
like,
for a first timer, because
Spirited
it's very
Away
easy. It's
too,
very
yeah.
you
like,
kind of get it.
Howl's Moving Castle, brilliant. Don't recommend it because
No.
they run out of budget, and then they're like, we're out of budget.
Yeah,
we can't finish it.
The first 75% of that was great though.
Yeah, it was.
In Spirited and Princess Mononoke,
Good. It's a good
giant
movie.
slime monster at the end. I don't like it.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm sorry, I can't like it. It's too.
I think Princess Mononoke, whilst being a really wonderful movie, is maybe a little bit more detached from Western culture than someone who hasn't seen anime before might think it's a little weird.
Me and my sister watched it when it first came out. We never watched anime.
Well, that's fair,
We
but
were
you were probably like
little.
4, so.
Nuh-uh. When did it come out?
Uh-huh.
Now I'm curious, jerk.
I think didn't
Yeah,
Mononoke
Princess-
come out in like the
I am like
1989.
89,
I was
yeah.
12.
wow
99.
I am heavily on board with
1999?
Princess Mononoke
Yeah.
until the big like sludgy monster at the end comes up, and then I'm like, I don't like this monster.
Yeah,
It's
I think Princess Mononoke. It's a great film. I think that if you're gonna do a first anime for a Miyazaki film, first anime, I would probably do something like,
I think
Spirited
Tread
Away.
carefully. My brother's going to get
Spirited
you.
Away. Spirited Away is such a good option because it is probably the only Miyazaki film that is so consistent.
Mhm.
It is the most consistent Miyazaki film. It doesn't really have anything that you can criticize.
Mhm. Yeah, that's
Nothing significant, like a big sludge monster at the end or them running out of budget.
Well, and so it's also just a very relatable movie. It's about a little girl getting lost in an amusement park, and it's a thing that makes sense, I think, to probably everybody. In the same way that something like My Hero Academia, like in the West, we get superheroes. I get it. Like, I know what superheroes are. I've seen a million superhero
I would
films.
have to say, I will give you guys kudos. This last season has started out really strong.
Oh, I haven't watched it.
Oh my god,
I
how
have
many
not watched
episodes
it
in
yet.
are we?
How many episodes?
I've not
are
been
we in?
watching
I
anime
don't know.
for.
It's good.
Oh, I know. I know it is. I know it's
Well,
gonna be.
okay, but you guys like overly like it.
No,
I'm
no.
like, eh.
Okay, so there is a difference between like loving something to the point of obsession and appreciating the mastery that the people making it have of their craft. They do a really good job.
How many episodes of our cast have you mentioned My Hero though?
This is a great. It could be a drinking
Well,
game. Yeah.
Like My Hero's just it's so well written that it's kind. I think My Hero, because it's so well written, is easy to put on a pedestal for comparison.
Yeah.
Because you're like, I want to compare something and talk about good writing. What am I gonna do? What's the best written thing I know?
Well,
My Hero.
And this is exactly the same thing that would happen. Oh, go ahead, Ben.
It's the same way that I draw attention to Made in Abyss when I want to talk about world building, because I think Made in Abyss does really solid world building, although Made in Abyss has bad writing in some levels.
Well, and so this is. I think this is exactly the same thing that would happen. Exactly the same thing that would happen if we were having a conversation about horror films or science fiction film. If we were having a conversation about horror film, then every 5 minutes I'm going to be bringing up Alien and The Thing.
Yeah.
John
Why
Carpenter's
not
The Thing.
Stephen King?
Because There are no good Stephen King movies. Period.
I liked the Rose one. from
Rose
when we were
Red.
little.
Rose Red. I was thinking that
Yeah.
too.
I'm very
I
sorry
was,
that you like
yeah.
that. I'm kidding. I haven't seen
I-
Rose Red in ages. I couldn't possibly critique it.
I
I
saw it when I was little, so
That's
I
fair.
mean that's a very biased opinion.
I remember that
I-
Stephen King was the pizza man.
I
Oh, was
en-
he?
yeah. I enjoyed Rose Red. I think Rose Red was fun. I have no idea how good a movie it was.
Right. I haven't seen it in such a
That's
long
what I
time.
mean.
I
I
couldn't
haven't
possibly
seen it
judge it.
since I was little.
It's one of those things that had enough going on that it was interesting and just fun to think about.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, I think it's inevitable when we talk about because
Yeah.
the quality of the writing is such a major element. My Hero Academia is inevitably going to get brought in a lot, the same way I bring in Made in Abyss a lot because I think Made in Abyss does some of the best, some of the most interesting world building.
Right. And it's kind of, and I mean it's also kind of the same thing with like a Miyazaki film. Like we could talk about Miyazaki films a whole bunch in the different things
Or
they do really
Studio
well.
Ghibli.
Just in
I
general. Yeah.
I guarantee if we see any other animes related to dreams or not knowing what's real, it's gonna come back to Paprika and
No, totally. Yeah.
and
And I think there's also definitely. Oh yeah, go ahead.
no, you go ahead. I'm gonna change subject a little
How
bit.
are you? I was going to say. So rounding off that subject a lot. We do end up talking about show like My Hero a lot because we're talking about anime and we're talking about generally TV series. And there's a lot of common themes. In My Hero, the people who write it do a great job. In the same way that, again, like if I'm talking about horror films, I'm going to be referencing Alien, the first Alien movie, and The Thing, the 1984.
The Thing was
John
really
Carpenter
good.
thing.
Yeah.
Those
That
two,
one
those are the
freaked me
two
out.
best horror movies ever made. Ever. They are. If you
Close.
no, they're the
Yeah.
best. They're the two best. And if there's another one, I haven't seen it. But Alien. Yeah, you have another one.
I'm talking to my husband.
Okay, that's fair. But Alien. If you want to, just a master class in horror, watch Alien, write down every single line and every single scene and what happens in every single scene, and just study that. And it's incredible. It's amazing. What a good film. Anyways, My Hero, same thing. Really good writing. I'm not going to say My Hero is the best, show ever made. It just gets referenced a lot because it does a lot of things really, really well.
You know what? You know what's also nice about Paprika?
Goes well in stews
Unlike-
and Indian food.
Yeah, it was
The joke had to-
really dumb.
It had to happen
typed-
eventually.
I typed Paprika into the search engine and I was like,
Yeah, I did
damn
that. I did that when I was looking for images for the show.
it." Right. So, something great about Paprika. Unlike The Lighthouse, Paprika is an experimental film that has decent writing.
I don't want to talk about it.
Mandy, have you seen The Lighthouse?
I have not.
Good.
Eh,
Good.
the thing
Keep
is,
things that.
The Lighthouse?
yeah, The Lighthouse.
Was it a horror or an anime?
It wasn't
It's
either.
a live action.
It's what?
It wasn't either. But the thing is, The Lighthouse has has been universally lauded as an amazing film. I think it was mismarketed. I think it's mismarketed as a horror film. It's really kind of a very experimental film in a like.
It was written by It was written by someone who took a class on metaphors and did that instead of taking a basic writing class.
Yeah.
But experimental films being good
Right.
is always nice. And so Paprika, yeah,
Yeah.
it's nice
Also,
because
What?
I don't
Sam's laughing at your description of it.
uh-huh.
In
I
a
don't-
good way, I promise.
I don't think anyone goes into a film that they know is an experimental film and has high expectations.
No, it's
If you
true.
know it's experimental, you go in like, oh god, Oh, what if
This
trailers
is gonna be
are
weird.
funny.
The
The
trailer
trailer's freaking hilarious.
the
for-
trailers
for the lighthouse.
I'm watching it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You spill your beans.
spill your
Spill
beans.
your beans. That's a great.
Actually,
yeah.
there's some really good dialogue writing in the Lighthouse.
There are
even if the narrative doesn't make any.
there are
isn't-
legitimately good. There are legitimately good aspects of the lighthouse, including the performance by Robert
And-
Pattinson and
I like.
Willem
Yeah.
and
Dafoe.
whoever lined up the shots,
whoever
beautiful
whoever
shots.
did the directing, the person, the cinematographer, set design, like they were great. They did a wonderful job. It looks beautiful.
Like I have so many good things to say about the Lighthouse, and that's a garbage movie. Don't
Yeah.
watch it.
I unfortunately, and I was so
So,
disappointed to
The
say
shots
that. I
did
agree.
look good in the trailer.
Yeah.
However, it looked very indie, like new, like
They intentionally
new
do. They intentionally do that.
filmmaking.
That aspect ratio. They don't get rid of it in the first 30 seconds, like you might hope. They just
Yeah.
keep it. It's like no,
And
there's no reason.
The-
Just start with it, then remove it. That'd be
yeah.
fine.
And I think the not that this is a review podcast for the Lighthouse.
No,
But I
no.
think the major problem for the Lighthouse, spoilers for the Lighthouse, probably. I don't know if we spoiled anything yet. But the
You spoiled that it's garbage.
that it's hot garbage. No, it's it's an experimental film, and its build is like when the way it's marketed as like a mystery horror film. Like is how it came across to me and everybody I know that saw the
That's
trailer.
what it looks like. The trailer.
And really,
It's not a horror.
Really, it's not. It's not a horror. It's not a thriller. It's almost
It's
a
almost
mystery.
not a bit. It's almost It's kind of not a
It's
mystery.
like it's not really a mystery. It's kind of a mystery. It's not really a mystery. It's an experimental film that I think, and I don't remember. I think probably it was you and me talking bad, but you, me, and Jesse probably, and I feel like what it is trying to do is get across the feeling of people going crazy, and the problem with that is when you create a narrative that the point of the narrative being like to make you feel like you're going crazy, well, it doesn't make much sense, and so it just feels like
it's
like
they
you don't
also
know what
they
the hell's going on.
they also it's written by someone who doesn't understand crazy. Like if you meet crazy people in real life, crazy people make crazy sins.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy people in the Lighthouse don't make crazy sins. They're just
Also,
kind of they also it's very abrupt. It's like the main character starts drinking and immediately the story is too disjointed to follow.
Also, if you want to see a lot of like Greek and Roman themes, then please watch The Lighthouse. Cause
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
like a
like
load of that in
the-
there.
The writer is like putting in like symbolism and metaphors pertaining to ancient Greece, and he's like, God, I'm so profound.
So profound. Yeah, basically. Yeah, it the whole thing felt very pretentious in the end, but that's just the opinion of
just
some
your-
people that have an anime podcast. That was our review of The Lighthouse.
Yeah, if there were an anime of it, when there's an anime of it,
Yeah, I just feel like it was mismarketed. If I'd gone
Don't
into
give
it,
people ideas.
if I'd gone into it thinking that it was like an experimental film, I'd have been I would have felt
Right.
much better
Yeah.
about it. But
Much
I went
more-
into it
much more
thinking it was
forgiving.
going to be a really high quality, like horror thriller movie with questionable like monsters, and totally wasn't. Great performances, Robert Pattinson, Willem Dafoe, wonderful job. But anyways,
Paprika.
Back to
The-
Paprika.
Paprika.
The part of Paprika,
I
I
love
was.
her hair.
Oh God, yeah, her hair looks great. I agree.
Totally.
It's a very nice.
The juxtaposition of the dark versus the red. Like,
Did
Mhm,
the
mhm.
juxtaposition of the dark versus the red.
I like juxtaposition. That's my word.
It's a good word.
Yeah, verisimilitude.
Oh dear.
So, Paprika. The part of Paprika during which I had the greatest like hesitance to buy in
Uh-huh.
was when the dream world merged with reality.
Yep.
Like
That's
they
fair.
like I accepted it because they had a character straight up say the dream world's merging with reality when it
Yep.
made no sense what was going on. So I was like, okay, I guess they're just gonna say it, so that's fine. I guess it makes
You know,
sense if they
yeah, I feel like
state it.
it's a thing where
But
go ahead, Helen.
No, just so remember the guy got shot and like his hand scrapes against the window with blood and nobody sees it, like the characters don't see it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so simple and so symbolic, and then like he falls into the room and disappears. It was like that was like the entrance of the dream world to the reality. It was so cool and so specific.
No, I think it's definitely it's definitely a film that you can add a lot of meaning to, because of the nature of like it being like you can't tell if it's a dream or if it's real or this or that. But it's definitely a movie you can put a lot of your own meaning to, but that makes it kind of interesting. It's a little bit interpretive.
yeah, they've got a lot of stuff that could be an intentional metaphor,
Yeah,
or
totally.
it could be an even it could be like a the writer thought it felt right but
Right,
didn't know
right. It's
why
an
kind of
unintentional metaphor.
yeah, and
The
it's
gold.
like you know what's great, the villain in the greenhouse, the bad guy, what's his name? His name is
Uh,
Inui.
Oh.
Seijiro, that guy.
That sounds right. Yeah.
He's like behind some plants, and when he comes out, his legs are squid
yeah,
legs.
yeah.
Oh.
Like,
Yeah.
great. That's great. He's like slimy villain.
Yep.
He's like uncomfortable
I didn't know they were squid leg. I
yeah,
thought they were like roots
octopus
of a
leg.
tree.
Oh yeah, I
Or
thought
were
that
they
they
roots?
they came across to me as like octopus
They
tentacles.
Maybe it was like between the two.
they
'Cause,
could have been like yeah they moved like
Yeah.
they moved like
Yeah, they
octopusy
moved
squiddy
like
tentacles, but they
octopus.
may have been. I think you might be right.
Yeah,
They
no,
may
they
have
might
been
have been.
bark. They may have had like
I don't
bark
know.
look
But
on
it's
them or
hard
texture.
it's hard to imagine though. It felt like a
But
dream.
that's great for the villain, like this slimy,
Yeah. Yeah, no, totally.
like slithering towards you, not even walking. And also he's in a wheelchair, right? So I think what they
Mhm.
had was he gets up out of his wheelchair and then seems to just like float forward,
Yeah.
which is this weird off-putting creepy thing, and then comes out and you see he's on these legs. The same thing happens in Perfect Blue during a chase scene. Like the character jumps out the window and she's being followed by like the like idol version of herself,
Right.
who like the main character falls and hits
Yeah.
their head and rolls over, and it's a really big drop, and the person chasing them like
Like
steps and glides down, and
gracefully,
it's
like
so
slowly
creepy.
glides down, and it's like, oh god damn, that's terrifying.
Such smooth movement is creepy and
Yeah.
off-putting because people don't move smoothly. People like
It's
bob
like,
up and down.
and the thing is like smooth and unimpeded movement
Yeah,
directly
yeah.
towards you, like gracefully. Like,
That's great, like horror movie stuff there.
yeah, that was really solid. Yeah, that was one of my favorite moments.
At the very, very beginning, I love the dancer and like the people on the unicycle and like all of the circus type thing.
Mhm.
The movement was so precise. It was gorgeous. Like
Mhm.
I was sickened by how amazing they did that. Like I was like, oh my god, that's it was good.
Yeah, no,
It was really
the
good.
art. Now that's something that you cannot fault in any way. I think is the art in Paprika. Everything art related was great.
You, if you hate the story, if you hate the characters,
Yeah.
if you hate the messaging, you gotta acknowledge just how solid the artwork is.
Oh,
How
yeah.
like
absolutely beautiful, gorgeous. Soundtrack too. I think the soundtrack is amazing. The original soundtrack for Paprika, equally weird and creepy and fun and exciting. A lot of good music in Paprika.
It's like bouncy and fun, and then like they go and like do this like sound
Right.
in between, and it's like it's weird, but it's great.
Yeah, no, exactly. You know, it's the kind of exactly the kind of stuff that you'd expect from like a really weird experimental film about dreams. Like great visuals, crazy like good music,
I think I think the two like most significant things I would say for Paprika that I would the things that I was least sold into on Paprika were the techno babble
Right.
is just always bad. I never like it.
Yeah.
Just like skip
No, yeah.
that dialogue somehow.
Totally, yeah.
And it was harder to buy into the dream world and reality merging thing, but I
Mhm.
think they did it well enough that I like
That you got over it, yeah.
yeah, like I
Yeah,
noticed
that's
it
fair.
and then I was like I'm going to ignore this and then I ignored it. It was good.
Yeah, no, I can totally get
It's
behind that.
also it's
I think
also
the technobabble's hilarious.
Technobabble's awful. It's always awful. So bad.
But they did it the best.
Wait, say it again?
Did they? They were like this
Oh.
device works by doing these things that don't make sense and using
So,
the body's energy.
honestly,
What
And then they
energy?
I think
Shh, 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 shh.
I think there are a couple of moments.
Excuse me.
There are a couple of moments for the techno battle that worked really well. That were,
I agree. There were some moments that was like,
they felt very intentional. Like he's telling you a thing that is supposed to not make any sense.
the thing that didn't make sense to me was like the DC headgear. How like the guy who supposedly stole it, it was like
It was in his
inside
head.
his
Yeah,
head.
yeah. Was it? I don't
Whereas
think
it
they.
sat over his head, like when the other people used it, it sat on.
It wasn't made clear. I don't think it was made clear why that happened, but that may have been something with like the dream
Yeah,
world and
I
reality
just chalked it up to
merging.
being a dream.
Sam said there were like risks of wearing it.
Yeah, they talk about risks of wearing it. I think the reason the dream world and reality merging gets to me is because it is a very sciencey story, right? It's a very like we invented technology
Right.
that allows us
That
to
could
do
do
these
this.
things. And
Yeah.
then they're like the technology's a little bit mad. Just a little bit, just enough that we fractured the space between dimensions.
Yeah. No, totally.
Yeah, okay. I guess.
Okay, so so
I like
so
the way you put that.
yeah.
I like the way you put that.
Thank you.
So okay, so let's wrap up a little bit on our thoughts of Paprika. Best girl. Who's the best girl?
I like the cop.
Actually-
I do. Konakawa might be best girl.
Konakawa's waifu, then for
He
sure.
needs saving. He's like so delicate and
The
yet
detective?
so yeah.
I think I'd make him waifu. He seems very dependable.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
He just seems like a good guy. You know, he has problems. but
Best girl is
everybody has.
the big guy. Taco T. The big guy.
Yeah, I am.
Oh yeah,
Mm.
Tokita.
Tokita. I was close.
I like Tokita. Tokita's cool.
Takita's a good
He's the
guy.
best girl.
He's pretty delightful.
Sam said he votes the old guy.
Oh, the little old
Mhm.
scientist man.
Shima.
Yeah.
That is fair.
Tarataro Shima.
And then so as far as pitching
I-
this, or go ahead.
I also really like Chiba and Tokita's like relationship reveal at the end.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I thought that was sweet.
I was like, oh my
Uh-huh.
god! I could have if I'd have, like they hinted at this earlier on, but I didn't get it.
Mhm.
It's kind of sweet.
So,
Sorry.
Paprika, who
Yes.
do you pitch this to, and how do you pitch it?
People
A
who like
mind
art,
trip.
One at a time, please.
go ahead.
I said a mind trip.
You pitch it as a mind trip.
So Hallen will pitch it to people who are using
Controlled substances.
exploring drugs.
You know what though? That's not a bad audience for this film. If we're being perfectly honest, they would probably love it. Open their eyes,
I would
man.
recommend it to people who like artwork.
I agree.
I would agree with that. I think probably if you do any kind of artwork, you'll love this film because you certainly will be able to respect and appreciate the amount of effort and the amount of skill that went into making it. The music is also great. I'd say a group that I would probably recommend it to is people who really like animated, like anime films, like the Miyazaki films, big big budget anime films. But just want something, they've already seen all the Miyazaki films.
Yeah,
they've gone back and they've watched maybe Cowboy Bebop movie.
And I think that's because of how
Classics.
much novelty it had.
It does. It has a lot of novelty. And I think it has the same kind of quirky. It has a quirkiness that reminds me of Miyazaki. So if they watched all of the Miyazaki films, and they maybe go watch them once a year each because they love them. Tell them about Paprika because that's an interesting film. It's definitely not as concise and cohesive as a Miyazaki film is on the whole, but it is definitely interesting. It's beautiful. It sounds great, and it's weird, which is charming.
Yeah.
Would you pitch it as a first-time anime? I don't think so. I don't think so.
To the right person.
Okay, the right person I think to pitch it to as a first anime would probably be somebody who is currently an artist.
Yeah, it'd have to be an artist. It would have to be an artist if it's a first time anime because you get Don't you make faces at me? I am giving my opinion and I will not be made faces at.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, totally. Yeah, if someone who's currently an artist and they're getting into art and they do stuff with color or drawing or something, and that happens to be someone who doesn't watch anime. I don't know how many of those there are though. Hallen, who would you pitch it to? Aside from
somebody adventurous. I think it's a very adventurous anime.
Yeah, that's totally fair. It is. It's very adventurous.
And I'm listening to music. That's kind of my bouncing too.
Oh, okay, that's fair.
I'm listening to the Paprika soundtrack. So.
That's very reasonable. It's not like we're doing a podcast or anything. But definitely, aside from a very specific circumstance, I probably wouldn't pitch it to someone who doesn't already watch anime. It's a little weird for that. If they are really into experimental film. If they hadn't watched anime, sure. You have to be pretty open-minded though. And
I would pitch it to somebody who doesn't hate anime but is open, like you said. Is because some people have a misconstrued idea of what anime is. They think it's just cartoons.
Right.
Yeah.
And so when they realize that there are adult animes out there, not adult sexy, but you know what I mean?
Right.
And I think opening up that mindset
and
how wonderful you can. That's the culture.
And so that's a thing where that is a reason that I wouldn't pitch Paprika to people. I see what you mean. I do think there's a lot of misunderstanding of anime for the general populace. And I think that for first time anime, I'd want to pitch something Spirited Away that has a very grounded plot that makes a lot of sense. There's not a ton of interpretation involved. You get to watch it and what you see is what you get, and it's fun and it's kind of weird, and you kind of get it even though it's spirits. And
you're gonna be thrown.
I like the way you put that though, grounded. I think when you introduce somebody to an anime, even Cowboy Bebop has more grounding to it.
Oh yeah, especially if you like.
Yeah, Cowboy Bebop is very grounded because it's even kind of slice of lifey and we have to pay the bills. We're doing this for money, rent's coming up.
Yeah, which is great, and I think
very relatable.
I think Cowboy Bebop would be one. And it if you're pitching anime to first time anime watchers, you really have to read the person you're pitching to. So if you like noir and crime stuff, then Cowboy Bebop, that's pretty solid.
You wanna throw people through a loop and not know what to expect. Do this, then do Kill la Kill.
Never recommend Kill la Kill as a first anime. I don't care who you are. It's a bad idea.
This is not a first anime either.
Yeah.
Nor is Fooly Cooley.
Yeah, Fooly Cooley to confuse them even more.
Kill la Kill is a wonderful anime, but
So good,
definitely
though.
one. It's definitely one not for first time use. That's that's one you gotta earn. You gotta earn Kill la Kill. If you get 5 or 6 shows in.
I didn't watch much anime, and my husband made me watch Kill la Kill. And the first time I watched it, I was like, What?
Yeah.
And then like I watched it like 5 years later. I'm like, oh, this is really
This is
good. Like,
amazing. This is a
Helen-
great show.
Helen, I would like to say your husband is a monster.
Yeah. For making you watch Kill la Kill. Yeah, no, totally. That's horrible. But yeah, so you gotta like, it's one of those things where even like a really good show, like Kill la Kill.
Sam's laughing hard now.
Like, yeah. I would never recommend Kill la Kill as a first time anime, and probably
He said yes.
even though it's yeah, even though Paprika I think is it's a really great movie, I wouldn't recommend it. Like it's not really grounded enough. It doesn't make it's too interpretive.
I would
for
also,
being a
if I
first one.
recommended it as a first time anime, it would be with the caveat of like, watch this for how interesting the visuals are in the art. Like that would go with
there
the
would be a lot of
recommendation.
caveats. And that being
Yeah.
said, there are still other shows that I'd recommend.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
still good show. Probably not a good first one, but really good movie. Satoshi Kon does amazing work. It's very sad that we no longer have him making movies.
Yeah.
What about next podcast
Oh my
anime?
god, that's a great question. What is the next one we're gonna do? We have 3 weeks now.
Helen recommended No Game No Life. Also Mirai, which is a 2018 time travel anime movie.
Ooh.
Huh? I don't know. Sam's like, what are you gonna do next?
This is a great question. I don't know. As per usual.
I don't either. What are you guys feeling? Are you feeling a series or a movie or what?
Well, we do have 3 weeks, so that leaves us 2 weeks to procrastinate.
There's also I will also I'll toss in Fooly Cooly as a recommendation because I do feel like it gets mentioned a fair amount. And I know Big Bad hasn't seen it yet.
I haven't.
So Fooly Cooly as a recommendation would be good.
Yeah, okay.
Sam said, "Oh yeah."
Well, I guess that's settled then. Let's why
It's a weird one.
You want to? Oh, is it? Oh boy. Okay.
It's good. It's not okay. So it's not to the level of Paprika.
We're already
but
apologizing.
It still has that small
dear.
and big sense.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you want another weird one?
Pitch me Fooly Cooly. Would you pitch me it?
Fuck, I don't know how to
Fooly Cooly is kind of like this boy who's thrown into this manic situation that he doesn't know how to deal with, and shit's happening with his body that he's like, what the fuck? And so, like, yeah.
Just sounded like
there's
puberty
like a
for me.
weird space girl who kisses him, and
okay.
like, doesn't he pull stuff out of his head? It's been a while.
This
yeah,
sounds
stuff comes out of
very
his head.
strange. Oh dear.
Like
It's good. I mean, it's grounded.
not. So it doesn't. It's not less strange than it sounds, right? Because when I say he pulls stuff out of his head, you're like, okay, this is like a metaphorical thing, or like, no, he literally like pulls robot. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so we've talked about it too much at this point. I guess we're going to watch Fooly Cooly for next month. So that's Fooly Cooly, and that's going to be hopefully on the... Oh, wait, 1, 2, 3... Oh, I take it back. We do have 4 weeks. I forgot that we fell on an interesting... we have an interesting month,
God.
so technically...
Yay!
Next week's the 16th, the week after is the 23rd, then we have the 30th, and then the 7th, which is the first Saturday of December. So we will have precisely 1 month. This was a wonderful week to get sick, or the previous week, rather. So then you can join us on December the 7th. We'll be talking about Fooly Cooly. I guess we'll have to, after that, we'll have to see if there's like a Christmas anime out there or something. People who live in America.
Yeah,
is that a thing? That's not a thing.
I mean, we might find one with lots of red and green. That might be doable.
That's fair.
I like Gretsuko, the Christmas episode from last year.
The Christmas. We're gonna watch. Okay, this month we're doing the
Okay.
Christmas episode of Agretsuko.
We'll just do Christmas episodes from all the different anime.
Uh-huh.
Compare and contrast.
That would actually be very funny.
That would be fun.
But okay, so anyways, what is it? Fooly Cooly?
Fooly
Fooly Cooly.
FLCL.
FLCL. CL.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Fully
Fully
coolly.
cooling. The 7th of December, we'll be discussing it right here at 5 o'clock on Saturday. Thank you for joining us, everybody. I hope you have a lovely day. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.